Okay, hi there. Just want to make sure, can everybody out there hear and see me okay? Just want to make sure everybody is able to chat. You can just write in the chat box if you can hear and see me. Yes, from Adriana, and yes, great. You can see me. Okay, wonderful. All righty. Well, we'll go ahead and start. I think we'll probably get a few more people come in a little bit later. There's usually a few technical difficulties, but just wanted to go ahead and welcome you to the Map Out Your Life workshop. Just to give you a quick little introduction, my name is Christy Nichols, and Venture Within is my company that I started so that I could create transformational experiences for people who are looking for something more, who want to tap back into the things in their life that they find fulfilling and meaningful. It's very easy, especially this day and age, to kind of lose sight of who you are and what you want when you get caught up in routines. So the experiences I create through Venture Within, they are usually overseas retreats where people can kind of tap out of their 9 to 5 and just immerse themselves into something that opens them up, right? It reconnects you with yourself. And for those who can't go on retreats all the time, I've extracted these workshops that are usually part of the retreats into an online coaching and mentoring program. So this way, individuals who are seeking coaching or some sort of like guidance to get from point A to point B can access these through like the online session. So a little bit more about that later. But I'm excited to talk about Map Out Your Life workshop now. It is taken exactly from the coaching and mentoring program, and January is a fantastic time for us to start to kind of reconnect and start to plan out what we want the next little bit of our life to look like. So I'll have the chat box open here. Feel free as I'm going through the workshop to comment, to ask questions. If I don't get to your question, I will definitely at the end. But first, before I jump into this too much, can you let me know where you're from? Where are people saying hi from? I think there's a few people from a few different countries. I'm not sure. Poland and Nicaragua. International today. Okay. All right. Well, let's just jump in. You will need either a pen and paper, or you can type directly onto your computer. So you can either get like your little notebook out and just to jot down some things. This is a workshop that takes a bit of like internal reflection. Nothing you need to share. It's all voluntary sharing. But it's important that you write things down as they come to you. Or you can type directly onto your computer screen if you shift your screen so that you can see this webinar, and then also you can type in notes. Okay. All right, let's just get going. Let's see. And everybody can still, I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully you should still see me and some of the content here. Let's see here. All righty. Can everybody see the blue welcome Map Out Your Life? Yep. And can you still see me? Great. I love when technology works. Okay, so just a little bit about this particular course and what you're going to be doing in the next 45 minutes or so. The way you map out your life, it sounds like kind of big and heavy, but it all starts with kind of looking backwards where you came from, right? So in the next few minutes, we're going to dive into looking at our past achievements and some of our strengths. And we're also going to envision the future we want for ourselves. So we'll do a little bit of an envisioning activity. And then we'll move into untangling some of the roadblocks and challenges and personal struggles we're facing, right? We all kind of have this idea of where we want to be, but there's things that get in the way. We'll tap into those today too. And by the end of this, you'll have new techniques and tools to sort of help you map out the life you see yourself living. Okay. And for those of you who are interested in this workshop and not too sure if this is for you, this is for you. Actually, these workshops are for everybody. Every human being in their life comes to a point where they need to transition in some way, you know, whether they're into a new relationship or into a new living situation or a new career, or they just want to like experience life in a different way. And it's never immediate overnight, right? And sometimes these changes are things that we choose, and sometimes life kind of sucker punches us, and we have to make these transitions. And it's all very, or it can be very overwhelming. And so that's what these workshops are for. These are for professionals in transition. So if you're somebody who has shifted maybe to a completely new career or a new company, or you're just trying to find your footing. And whenever we take on something new, it's often very, or it can be very isolating, or you feel lonely, or you're not too sure how to like orient yourself so that you can move forward. These workshops are for you to kind of help you create new strategies to get there. Young professionals, so people who are brand new to the workforce and you know what you're doing, but you haven't quite like, you haven't reached that level of expertise that you will be at one day. So these are for those of you who are kind of newish in your career. You're seeking clarity, confidence, and a more structured pathway towards living the life you feel that is meaningful to you. Also, these workshops are for those of us who are stuck. I've definitely been stuck more than once, stuck in a rut. You've lost steam, or you've lost your passion, or you're bored with what you're doing with your day to day, or maybe you just lost the fulfillment that it once, whatever your day to day is, maybe that no longer serves you, right? So these workshops kind of help you understand what it is that drives you, what it is that inspires you, and how to get back on track. And also the entrepreneurs out there. So I imagine there's quite a few of you who work for yourself. And I'm an entrepreneur for quite a few years now, and we all need a support system to help us get a leg up on our business, right? So there's the support you need and the confidence you need to actually take a really good idea you have and then to execute it. But then there's also that middle ground, right, where you started your business and you're working really hard towards it, but then it's not quite giving you the rewards over here that you want. It's kind of a lull. So the coaching and mentoring program and this workshop helps you to sort of like stay on track, stay motivated, struggle, like get through any feelings of struggle or fear, and helps you remember why you started. Okay, so everybody ready? Hopefully by now you have something to write with, or you've set up your screen and you're ready to sort of dive into the workshop right now. Okay. So I always prefer to start these workshops by taking a breath. We've already had a day's worth of activities. You have a day ahead of you. Perhaps you have other people in your life you're connecting with throughout the day, kids, a spouse, colleagues. The next half hour or so is for you. So if you're a yogi, this will be easy for you. If you're not, this will help you like be present. So just take a deep breath in through your nose. And an exhale. The next few activities we'll do is going to guide you through the entire Map Out Your Life workshop. And so it's important that you focus here. Okay, first activity is reflection. Like I mentioned before, we're going to dive into the past first before we map out our future. So I want you to take a moment, and I'll do it too, is to write down 2 or 3 achievements that you're really proud of. And this is for you to write down in your journals. And if you want, you can also type that into the chat box if you want to share it with everybody here. It's voluntary. But write 2 to 3 things you're proud of. Perhaps you sought after a position in your work and you got it. Maybe you learned to surf, or you learned a new skill, or you completed a marathon. Maybe you negotiated a very tricky conversation with somebody. Maybe you extracted yourself out from a relationship that no longer served you. Maybe you're brave enough to try a new relationship. What is it that when you look back on yourself, you think, yeah, like I did that, and it brings you this high? Go ahead and write that down. Let's take a few minutes. And if you want, you can share it in the chat box too. I'll go ahead and do that too. I'm proud of. Okay. Alrighty. I think somebody just entered the room. Welcome. We've just now started. We're about 10 or so minutes into the workshop, but I will send a replay too so that you can catch the beginning a little bit later. Right now, we've just started to dive into reflection. Before we can map out our life, we're going to kind of look back at the things that we're really proud of having achieved as individuals. So I've just shared you do not have to share yours in the chat box if you don't want to. This is really a personal journal reflection of things that you're proud of having achieved. So for myself, I just went ahead and shared that I'm proud of committing to a tough workout regime when in the past I used to avoid any kind of weight training or circuit training or workouts where you're getting kind of shouted at. Like I actually used to run away from the gym if I was like frustrated with whatever I was being asked to do. So the last couple of years I've really kind of pushed myself to go, and I feel much better now. Like I'm more confident. It kind of makes me have an overall healthier lifestyle. When a few years ago you never would have I was all about like yoga or doing my own little workouts, so it's actually been something that I'm really proud of having achieved. And then after you write that down, I want you to think about what you learned from them, right? So it's one thing to like list out all the things that we've done that, we can pat ourselves on the back about, but what is it that you took away? What do you know about yourself that makes you stronger? For me, I realized that I can do the tough physical things I didn't think I could do. And so that's important too. Like when I look back at the working out, I'm like, yeah, I did it, but now I know I can. It was just a mental stigma that stopped me. We've got Bart, skydiving license and working for an industry I've always dreamed about working for. Learn the third foreign language. Those are massive accomplishments. I don't know which one I'm more impressed by actually. Skydiving industry. Okay. And then Bart, you don't have to, but do you want to mention maybe one thing that you learned from like jumping out of the sky or actually pursuing your dream job and then being able to be trilingual? Anything you learned about yourself from these accomplishments? Give you a minute here. And Adriana. I'll keep moving forward here, but I think too, like after the workshop, it's always good to kind of go back to these and kind of maybe think about them in greater depth. Usually like we can have more time to kind of flesh these out. But you've learned to be super patient. Oh my gosh, yeah. All the time in the most extreme situations. Yeah, that's a lesson I could learn too. Being super patient. Okay. That's definitely a skill that applies across the industries, across the situations. Okay. So, and if you're done, if you just want to like type in finished, I'll move on. Just so I'm not cutting anybody off here. Great. Okay, finished for now. Cool. Okay, so now we've kind of looked back at some of the things that we know we've learned about ourselves and we've put in our pocket. I want you to think about the future. And I want you to think about the future in very specific detail, right? So I think in the future, it's really easy for us to say, oh, I want this house, I want this kind of partner, I want this kind of job, I want to have traveled. But I want you to be extremely specific and just write down dot points if you want. What is it that you, like, what does a day in your life look like? What do you look like? Have you maybe got a new haircut, or have you moved somewhere, moved to a city or moved to another country? Are you married? Are you single? You don't have to answer all of these questions, but these are just ideas of how specific I want you to be when you think about where you are 12 months from today in 2021, right? How do you feel your time? Are you working for the same company? Have you started your own business? Who's around you? Who are the people in your life? Is there a relationship that you want to build on? What do you want to be feeling? Think about this. What do you want to be feeling a year from now? Okay. want you to think about what it looks like. The more specific you are, the greater chance it's going to happen. This is all manifestation. I won't dive into that too much right now, but more, you have to be specific to get what you want. And after you have sort of combed through like what you want your future to look like in 1 year, let's just jump up only 3 months, right? So 3 months from now, what do you need to have done to be on the right track, right? So 1 year from now, I want to have run 2 amazing retreats in Bali, right? So if I want to have done that 1 year from now, 3 months from now, I need to have finalized all the logistics and started to promote it. I need to have reached out to a few awesome coaches or yoga instructors in Bali and start to make a plan with them. I need to have set up meetings. So the important thing about this exercise is that if you have a dream here, you've got to like plan out the steps you want to take to reach it, right? And it's much easier to do that in bite-sized chunks, right? So if you have a 1 year goal, sometimes this goal seems big and it seems far away, or, you know, like you have a few other things to do first, but before you know it, the year's gone, right? And we don't want to be sitting in the same spot 12 months from now that we are today. So what can you be doing in 3 months that'll pivot you towards that future that you envisioned? Be specific, always be specific. I'll give you a couple of months here, a couple of minutes here. And when you're done, just say finish in the chat box. Finished. 3 months, yeah, 3 months comes and goes so quickly. Okay. So what we've done so far in the workshop is thought about our past, things that we're proud of, the things that make us feel excited about having accomplished something, and then look to the future about where we want to be as we're moving forward and progressing, right? So now I want us to sit in the present, right? Focus on the now. And what does a meaningful life look like to you? A meaningful life looks like 10 million different things if you have 10 million people in the room. Sometimes a meaningful life looks like one where you get to have access to the outdoors every day. It means being around the people that you love. It means finding a skill you're good at and having time to practice it. It means cultivating a solid family life. A meaningful life looks like, you know, you have regular check-ins with friends, where you create time for yourself. What would you add to your life now that would make it even more meaningful to you? And this can be simple. What do you want to achieve? It can be a skill set. It can be, you know, like rebuilding a relationship that maybe has fallen away. The ability to travel. Maybe you want to earn more money. What is it that makes your life more meaningful? And write that down. Okay. Now I want you to think about what is standing in your way from having that meaningful life. What's missing, and what is it that is kind of hindering you? Often there's one simple answer to this, and often it's just ourselves, right? We get in our own way. I'm very guilty of this. But what is standing in your own way? Is it maybe finances? Is it time? Is it obligations you've placed on yourself or have been placed on you that hinder you from moving forward? Is it, usually things like time, money, people, but often these are also limiting beliefs that I can't. I don't think I do this all the time. Back to my gym example I gave earlier. Sometimes in the workouts, I think I can't do this. And my trainer says, I never want to hear you say I can't. And I should know better. But what is standing in your way from adding this meaningful element to your life? And if this is a problem, if time is a problem, other obligations is a problem, finances are a problem, people are a problem, you're a problem, like what have you done to try and solve it? Have you done nothing? That's okay if you've done nothing. Have you started to read up, sort of articles that kind of help reset your mind? Have you joined a membership? Have you reached out to people? Have you shown up for this workshop? Sometimes just showing up for these workshops is like the first step forward, right? So what have you done to try to solve it? And we're doing this because it helps you by writing down what you're trying to do. You're acknowledging, like, either, yeah, I'm actually see this as a problem and I'm working to change it, or you see it as a problem and you realize you're doing nothing. You're just sitting here giving yourself excuses without trying to fix it, right? And so that's often very eye-opening and one of the first steps is changing that around. Okay, and what are you doing to not achieve this goal? So this is kind of worse than seeing a barrier to your own happiness, and instead of like doing nothing about it, actually making the barrier bigger. Um, this is often in the form of excuses, right? So if I think of an example such as learning to surf, if I want to be a better surfer and I can't become a better surfer, what am I doing to not achieve it? Well, I'm not putting it in my freaking to-do list every day. I blame the cold weather. I blame the cold water. I blame the intimidation factor. I'm busy, So if one of my goals is to become a better surfer in the water, I'm actually doing nothing to get there, and I'm also creating a bigger barrier to that than is necessary. So sometimes this exercise is incredibly helpful to see that we're actually sabotaging our own goals. We're limiting ourselves, and no one else is telling us you can't. The wind isn't actually that windy. The water, you're not going to freeze. Like, what is it that you're telling yourself that stops you from moving forward? And apply this to your relationships. Are you worried about talking to somebody? Are you creating excuses that aren't there? We're very, very good at thwarting ourselves from going after our dreams. So we don't want to do that anymore. If we want to live a full and meaningful life, we have to move past that. And the next question too, what do you need most right now? And this is the most important question I think we can answer. Like, if you want to move from here to that future that you have written out for yourself already, what is it that you want to do? What is it that you need to get there? Maybe you need to dedicate a few more hours of your week to reading books that inspire you. Maybe you need to join a community or society of supportive friends. Maybe you need to buy an instrument and sign up for lessons. Maybe you need to take a coaching program. Maybe if you want to eat healthier, you need to buy a healthy cookbook and stuff. What is it that you need that'll help you move forward? We all need something. Write down what it is you think would help you take the biggest first step towards reaching your future. Okay. All right, any questions so far? Everybody here? Okay. So now what I want us to do, like the whole purpose of this workshop, we've gone through the reflection part, we've kind of identified what our strengths are, moved into what kind of future we want for ourselves, and then also looked at just taking conscious notice of where we are right now and what's stopping us, what do we need, like really dotting out like what it is to help us start moving. And this is your homework. This is a part of the workshop that actually gives you the big takeaway. I want you to think about one goal you have for the next 3 months. We have goals for a year, but I want you to think about a goal in the next 3 months in any of these areas. It could be your career, it could be your health lifestyle, your relationships, having more time and space. It could be travel. Choose an area and then think about what goal you want to have achieved in the next 3 months. Right? That's your homework. And with that goal, I want you to think about how you feel. Are they within reach? Is it easy for you? Or is it like, actually, I don't know how I'm going to do this? Right? Do you feel any sort of trepidation? Perhaps you feel like you won't be able to be as galvanized or inspired, or maybe you feel it's not worthy enough goal. Maybe you're worried what other people think. How do you feel about your goal? Write that down. Like I said, journaling is the most like self-therapeutic thing you can do. What are your reasons? Why don't you think you can reach these goals? Why don't you think you can start your own business? This is a throwback to those barriers that we build for ourselves, right? Reasons we think we can't create this life, they're not actually true reasons. Okay, let's take a few minutes. And move over to the immediate change. So now what I want you guys to do is we're going to start integrating this straight away. You know, one thing that it's always been like a pet peeve of mine throughout the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 20 years of educating or being educated is we've got these great conversations and these great learning points, and we write down all the things that are valuable. And there's a lot of like nodding of heads and agreeing, but then people leave and they don't do anything with what they've learned. And I never, ever want any of my retreats, my programs, or my workshops to ever be a once off. You know, I want for there to be some level of learning that people can take with them. And so the best way to do this is to help you start to plan immediate change into your week. So you've got your goals for a year from now. You've got your goal from 3 months from now. You know what it is that you need, and you know what it is that you want. And you've already taken a few moments to look at what's blocking you, right? So, with all of that in mind, I want you to think about the next 7 days and give yourself one task, one thing that you can do that's different in the next week that'll make you happier and you feel like your life is full of more purpose, right? This could be signing up for a gym. It could be, you know, if my goal in a year was to book 2 Bali retreats, and in 3 months I want to have that nailed down, then that means the next week I really want to start exploring, like just spend a day like exploring different locations a little bit more thoroughly, sending a few emails. Maybe if your goal is to improve a relationship, maybe you can invite somebody for lunch. Maybe you can schedule a phone call. Maybe if your goal is to have a completely different career, maybe you can spend some time this week to refresh your resume. You know, maybe you can just like start to extract all those strengths we talked about earlier and putting that in the forefront. There's anything big or small that you can do in the next 7 days that's going to be the first step that'll pivot you towards the future that you want. Okay. So once you've decided what that one thing is to do, you have to be held accountable for it. So I want you to put it on your calendar and really choose which day of the next week you're going to do this. Maybe your goal is to give yourself more self-care and self-love, right? For me, that comes in the form of massages, yoga, time off, turning off my phone. So maybe in the next week, book yourself a spa treatment. But make sure you've chosen the day and the time, and that when that day and time comes around, you do it, right? You're the only one who's going to help you live the life you want. So you have to make sure you put it in your calendar. Email yourself a reminder if you want. I do that all the time. I send myself little notes. So, you know, if I forget things on the fly, when I get to my email, I'm like, oh yeah, you know, do that. And the accountability measure, this is so important. Like I wouldn't have gotten where I am without asking people to hold me accountable, to have like a weekly check-in with somebody to say, this is what I tried to do. This is how it worked out. This is what I want to do better, you know? So I think whatever your goal is for this next week, ask somebody who believes in you, who supports you, to hold you accountable to scheduling this one thing into your week that's going to start to change the direction of your life. It works. Okay. So while you are taking a few notes and just sort of mulling over that in your journals or in your Word documents, I just want to take a moment like I had mentioned before, like the coaching and mentoring program. It's basically, these are the personal betterment workshops that I stand by. I've been teaching these for 10 years. They're an integral part of every single retreat that I run overseas. And it's really what gives people like this heart opening, like mind opening aha moments where they just wake up, they reconnect with the kind of person they know they can be, and then they're changed. They are all different people at the end of the retreats. And I just think going through the motions of these workshops is one of the best ways for people to achieve transformation with all the success and happiness that it brings. But we all can't run off to Nicaragua or Costa Rica like regularly for retreats. And I feel these are valuable workshops that we don't, as adults, like we go to college and we learn a trade, we get hired in a company and we learn these skills, but we never really give ourselves time to learn how to be better people. How do we improve on ourselves after some sort of institution teaches us how to grow up? How do we become the best individual we can be? These workshops help you do just that. You tap into your values, you reconnect with your goals, you do self-assessments that help you understand your strengths and how to leverage them, but also taps into your weaknesses and how to improve upon those if that's what we need, right? So what I've done for the coaching and mentoring workshop is I've extracted the workshops from the retreats and packaged them into like one-to-one private online workshops. So you get this right here. You'll get me working with you every week for about 12 weeks. But I'll see your face too. So it's more of like a two-way conversation. I follow a curriculum that is fantastic to help you sort of rewire and repivot your life into the direction you want it to go. And for people who attend this webinar, I'm offering a special promo. I'll send it in an email to you, but you'll get 30% off the cost just because you're here. And if you're interested in pursuing more of these workshops and more of these experiences, then that's what I want to offer to you. So just look for the email the next couple days. And I'll also send a replay of this webinar should you want to kind of go back and look at some of the questions I was asking and put longer, deeper thought into it. Okay. I just threw up a couple of testimonials here just to kind of, my clients end up becoming friends. It's just sort of the nature of the job, I guess, which is awesome too. I really love seeing success stories of my clients, and when we show up and we go through these workshops week after week, and just to watch them grow and to kind of be able to be there for them. And even outside the workshops, if people call just to share what they're going through, like that just makes my day. And then getting messages like this, like these aren't formal testimonials. These are just people reaching out to say, hi, thank you. And that means I've done my job. So maybe this will be one of you guys one day too. Okay, so for now, that wraps up the workshop part. And I would just like to open up any questions you might have about anything at all related to the workshop, any of the topics we covered. If you have questions about the whole program, feel free to throw them into the chat box. Or if you have a question about any of the upcoming retreats, I'm here I'm here for longer than 45 minutes. So if you want to know a little bit more, I'm happy to share that with you here. If you have no questions, and what's the next retreat you're offering? Yeah, the next retreat I'm offering, the next one in Nicaragua is going to be in May. I've got two in May. One in April, but the two in Nicaragua in May are amazing. One is the mind, body, spirit, and balance. And that combines like personal betterment workshops with a spiritual psychologist, Reiki healer, and yoga instructor from Canada. So she's coming down for a week, and it's like your whole mind, body, spirit wellness package. And that's going to be here in the beaches in Tola. And this one after that, also here in Nicaragua, is Feed Your Soul. And I've got a traveling dietitian coming down here from Texas, and those will be workshops focused on intuitive eating, healthy lifestyle, plant-based eating, using local foods and organic like fruits. And it's not necessarily vegetarian or vegan, but it's sustainable. So it's a super healthy way to prepare food, eat food, and also how that ties into our whole like ability to be like healthy people and to have a healthy approach to food and not necessarily feel guilty or bad, and just make us smarter eaters basically in a way that's intuitive. So those are the next two retreats. I do have a couple more coming up in Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Bali, but those will be on the website later. Is there a flyer or a link? Yeah, sure. I'll put it in the chat box. If you go to my website, Venture Within, you will see on experiences, you'll see transformational retreats, and each retreat is labeled so you know exactly the theme of the retreat, the location of the retreat, and all the details. You're very welcome. I can keep answering questions here. If you're done and you've taken everything you need from this workshop, then thank you very much for being here. I'll send out some more information in a couple weeks, but if you loved what your experience was here, please feel free to share it on social media. I've got another workshop, the same webinar I'll be delivering tomorrow, and then every week for the next couple of weeks, and just trying out different time zones. So if you want your friends or family to sign up and join, please feel free to share this on your social media. On that note, I don't think there's any other questions. I hope everybody here had a great session and that you have a great rest of your week. Thank you and goodbye.